Hello everybody, welcome to another new YouTube video. 2019 is ending, and 2019 gave us a lot of good and a lot of bad, and right now I'm talking movie-wise. We had a lot of good movies, and we had a lot of great movies, and we had a lot of bad movies. But 10 movies are the ones that stood out for me this year, and those are the movies that we're going to be talking about. So today we are listing my top 10 best movies of 2019. It was a real struggle choosing, because I watched over 45 movies this year, which is the most I've watched in the course of 365 days. But I'm pretty proud of what I watched. And these are the movies that I went and watched either more than 2 or 3 times, and I wouldn't mind paying again to go watch. They were the movies that stood out the most to me. And they're the movies that I'm probably gonna get on Blu-ray, or I already do. So let's get started with number 10, which is Frozen 2. Now this is a bit of a surprise for me because Frozen 2 was amazing and I didn't expect it to be. Frozen 1 I think is in my list of most overrated animated movies. Frozen 1 I absolutely hate. I can't stand it. Frozen 2 was funny, it was heartwarming, and it was catchy. Into the Unknown and Mostly Show Yourself are the songs that stood out, and the ones that are still stuck in my head. Frozen 2 was a delight, and I was genuinely surprised to see how good it was and to see how much I enjoyed a movie made for 7-year-old girls. So yeah, number 10, Frozen 2. Number 9, John Wick Parabolum. I think the John Wick series is one of the few movies to get better with every film that is released. Because John Wick 1 is great, John Wick 2 is amazing, and then John Wick 3 came out and just knocked it out of the park. Keanu Reeves, obviously, amazing. But there's this whole set of ideas behind John Wick, and the way it's portrayed and executed is amazing. Back to its story, to its motives, to its message, and to its choreography. To its message being a revenge plotline, or simply just being mad about killing a dog, to having one of the most insane choreography I've seen in a movie ever. So yeah, number 9, John Wick 3. Number 8, Parasite. One of the few indie movies on this list. Actually, I think the only one. Parasite was mind-blowing. From its heart to its suspense to what the movie stands for. Parasite was a movie that I left the movie theater asking myself why I watched it. What did I get out of the movie? And if a movie leaves me with that message, it was a damn good movie. Parasite. And number 8. Number 7, Yesterday. Yesterday was a fun... its premise was simple. It had a simple story with simple character, but the way it was executed and the performances... Yesterday was one of the movies that I came out being like, wow, I did not expect that to be that good. And also the incorporations of famous artists like Ed Sheeran and it was great. Yesterday was one of the... I'm not sure if it's an original film or if it was based off something, but Yesterday was genuinely, surprisingly enjoyable. So, that's my number 7, Yesterday. Number 6, Joker. Now, I had a few problems with Joker, not because of the movie, but with its placing on this list. Because Joker, after watching it the first time, it stayed to me as a masterpiece, as a goddamn, this is the best movie of the year. But after watching it a second time and a third, I noticed that it had problems. it had similarities to older classic movies, and it had some scenes that were maybe over the top or didn't fit in with the tone of the film. Now, this is not taking away the masterpiece that it is, because Todd Phillips knocked it out of the park with the directing and the tone and the imagery, that we're seeing Gotham as an ugly, dark city. And let's not even mention Joaquin Phoenix's amazing performance as the Joker, which I think, in my opinion, is the best performance all year. But I don't know, after watching it a second and third time, it went from my top 3 over to not even reaching my top 5. So yeah, that'd be number 6, Joker. Alright, it's now time to enter the top 5 movies with Avengers Endgame. Never in my life I thought that I would see a movie or an experience like Avengers Endgame. In fact, Avengers Endgame is the best movie theater experience I've had in my life. Avengers Endgame has the responsibility of culminating 22 and 23 movies in a way that satisfies maybe not everyone, but nearly everyone. Endgame just elevated the superhero genre more than Infinity War did. And to do something to out-achieve yourself, it's just an amazing feat that Avengers Endgame does. Also, amazing performances by its entire cast. And let's not even talk about Robert Downey Jr. as his last performance as Iron Man. Avengers Endgame was such a good movie. It was funny, and it was an amazing conclusion to a 10-film saga. It was satisfying, and honestly, I couldn't have thought of a better end for the Avengers, or at least the Infinity Saga as itself. Because although you know more is coming, you also know that that could be an end. Number 4, The Irishman. Martin Scorsese is a master filmmaker of mob film. I don't know how to express myself when I heard that Martin Scorsese was going to make another movie with Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro. I mean, it was glorious just hearing it. Now watching it, the length of this movie, 3 hours and 29 minutes of pure, true cinema. The length of this movie is never a problem. It always has you entertained. It always has you going, what's gonna happen next? With the unorthodox ending of just a simple ending. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the park. It was simple, yet it worked in its entirety. Which is what I love about The Irishman. Because Martin Scorsese just came out and just did it again. Like he knows what to do. Because he does. Alright, let's enter my top 3 best films of the year with The Lighthouse, featuring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. I feel bad for Robert Pattinson because his past Twilight history has kind of down on him, because in reality he is an amazing actor, and with someone co-starring as with Willem Dafoe makes it even better. This movie was a dark, gritty, serious movie, and yet it elevated the history and drama genre, in my opinion. I think The Lighthouse is one of the best movies I've seen in the last few years. I think it's amazing, and it's on my top 3. Number 2, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, directed by the one and only Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino came back with his 9th film with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, featuring Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. Let's begin with the director. Quentin Tarantino is a masterpiece. His worst movie is still an amazing movie and better than most movies out there. Quentin Tarantino came back and didn't direct the violent film itself. He created a story with people that we've already known, with a star cast. Like, what a cast in this movie. I mean, you have Margot Robbie and you have Al Pacino. This movie is Quentin Tarantino's most daring movie, because it's not something Quentin Tarantino is accustomed to, yet he brings in that Quentin Tarantino feeling. He outdid himself with at least 6 movies that he's done before, and I think it's amazing. So it takes my number 2 best movie of the year. Now, sitting at number 1 as the best movie of the year, in my opinion, is Knives Out, written and directed by Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson came back after writing and directing Star Wars The Last Jedi, which in my opinion is one of the worst Star Wars films ever. But I didn't let that be a factor for this one. I saw the trailers and I was immediately intrigued. And let's not even talk about the cast. I mean, the cast, holy crap, the cast is amazing. Ana de Armas, Daniel Craig, Toni Collette, Christopher Plummer, Chris Evans. I can go on. The cast is amazing, but the writing, Rian Johnson just released his best movie. Watching it the first time, it had me at the edge of my seat all the damn time. All the time, because I want to know what happens. Even when the movie tells you what happens at the middle, the end is even more amazing. Also, this movie is surprisingly hilarious, with some political talk, and it doesn't forget to remind you that it's set in present day, and I think that's one of its best accomplishments. It's set in the present era with an old whodunit concept, and it's done beautifully. Also, performances, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, and Christopher Plummer, amazing. But Daniel Craig's best performances since The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And yeah, I'm including James Bond. I love the James Bond films. They're one of my favorite. But Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc was amazing. Had me laughing my ass off in the entire movie. And his last donut analogy in the last act. And he also filled it with suspense. Like, who is this guy? What is he here for? And he wastes no time delivering his performance on why he is the detective he is in this movie. Daniel Craig, Cass, and Rian Johnson outdid themselves, making the best film of 2019. Well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know maybe your list is different than mine. Maybe we agree on some things. Maybe we disagree with others. But I think this is a pretty good list for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe. And as always, stay tuned for more.